To someone put together a group chat or a group messenger, or if somebody wanted to get an individual, two people get individual teams and saying that I'm going to be accountable for you, you be accountable for me, and we keep each other like that because no man left behind, right? And the second thing I want to add on to that, and I two hands. Second thing I want to add on to that is something that worked for me is just kind of going back through the Word of God. Wow. I mean, when I went through my full fast, I kept going back through Matthew chapter 4, verse 4. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. And like I kept that. And then I get to the point, oh, you know what?
Amen.
Yeah. And you should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded. Where's my word at? Let me give him God's word. Yeah, absolutely.
Mine was accountability. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps you motivated and encouraged, because when you're down, your counterpart ain't gonna be down at the same time you down. Even though the world will tell you, oh, when you down, we down like 4 or 5 times. No, I'm up, so I can bring you up when you're down. When I'm down, he ain't down. So we pump each other up. So you find your people, which matter we're doing it together. So when we're down, you coming in and you're encouraging. But you're not gonna go on the belly and toast and see all this good food and say, I'm gonna go eat me a burger. Right. You're just not gonna do that. Okay. If somebody say, hey, check in, let me see your food, you can't say, So in the back of your mind, you're gonna hear this voice, you're gonna hear all of us saying, yeah, nah, don't do that. Right. Okay, nah, I'm gonna go make a good choice. Oh, I'm gonna go to Wendy's, but I'm gonna get a salad. I'm gonna eat right, so I can be able to be accountable to the people that's depending on me to be accountable to me. So it's easier to do this.
Monday, of course.
Disclaimer. No more disclaimer.
It's coming. Come on, Rick.
Don't let Eve take you to the tree.
That's right, y'all.
Do not take me to Wendy's and expect me to get a side salad. And that big bacon ain't stand me in my face. You better take me to the grocery store in the produce aisle.
Yeah.
For's the seasoning. Like that's my problem.
Seasoning. Okay.
How's the seasoning supposed to work?
Please.
I kept confessing. I had got to like 360, headed to 370. 54, 56 waist. At first, I thought Pastor Terri was washing my clothes in the wrong washing line. They were shrinking, my clothes shrinking. I'm like, I ain't shopping at Walmart no more. That's what I kept saying. But I kept going like 3X, and I noticed 3X wasn't fitting anymore, so I'm going to in between 3X, 4X, and 5X. And I'm sleeping propped up. I'm sleeping like, I can't sleep laying down. I'm sleeping like my headboard is here. I'm literally like this. Wow. But I'm not resting. And I noticed that I'm always fatigued. Right. But I'm pushing. And in the back of my mind, it's like a powder keg. You're thinking one day I'm going to fall over. Well, in that thought, I had a foolish religious thought. Let me get my word done. And so what? Die, not leave a legacy, information, promise, destination to my family and church was asinine and foolish. So I kept confessing at 3. Like I would fluctuate. Sometimes it depends on if it's hot. I would go down to 340. I could lose 20 pounds like it was nothing. But then in a meal at night, I kept eating at night because I was working during the days and wouldn't eat right. And so it's not how much I ate, but it was when I ate. I laid down on it and it wasn't digested. And I would get up, feet be swole, ankles swole, hands swole. You know what I mean? Just like a little nagging headache all day because my body is trying to rest and process and mix all the stuff that's going on. But anyway, I kept confessing. I said, when I get down to around about 250, I'm going to start working out. It took probably about a year. I kept working it, portions, whatever it took. I was walking, I was doing exercise, I would see a little progress, and it just encouraged me. And then the confession turned into something. It materialized. Amen. Here we are. We're at large. Listen, we're at large. I'm down in the 30s. I'm down in the 30s in the past.
Wow, that's
I'm at a 38. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
54, 56 now.
Ooh.
And listen, y'all wrong for that too. I'm gonna tell you, I got to say something. Y'all all wrong. I ain't have no neck.
And Craig let him do it.
Yeah, Craig.
And Craig
I ain't have no neck. Nothing. My ears were just on the side of my face. I'm like, but I got a neck now, praise God. Yeah. Almost 58 in regular suit.
Wow.
Getting up there, man. Yeah, God is doing Yeah.
Amen.
It's amazing.
Amen. You know, when you first said 30 in the waist, I thought like you were actually talking about a 30. I'm like, man, we can fit the same pants.
Yeah, 38, 40. That's what Yeah. All right. Look, all-time goal this week. Hitting the 230s. Yeah, I'm in the 230s now. 241 to 238. And I haven't seen that since I was like high school.
Wow.
Middle school.
Yeah. So, you know, hey, the anointing, we believe that. From the head, it should flow down.
It should.
Amen.
And it works. It works. If you apply it, it works, people. It works. Amen. Amen.
The palate changed too. We were talking, you know, portions out, but my palate, like cheeseburgers, meat, and stuff like that. We went to high-end restaurants in search of a taste. And we were just, what we gonna eat at? What we gonna cook? We cook pretty much. I do for, my vocational as of my business. So, we cook all the time. So it's like, where's a high-end restaurant? Pay $100 for $200 for two people. You know what I mean? Just to see, and the taste wasn't even. I'm like, you get that. Now who get that raised restaurant? Better than that, $10. So, it became a chase for us, looking for ways to satisfy our palate. Because our palate was bored, there was nothing that we ate that was satisfying us. And then when we started like doing salads and fruit, especially avocado and asparagus and Brussels sprouts and the broccoli, and just fancying them a little bit. And just, and the mushrooms that taste like steak, the cauliflower, all that stuff there, when we started jumping into that, it was satisfying to the body and the palate. But the I won't say repercussions, or I say the recoil of it, was the energy. Me getting so much done in a day that it was crazy.
Yes.
Amen.
Staying focused on, because I have so much to do that I go to do this and break and have to do this and then nothing gets done. So I spend weeks doing that, months of almost finishing. But you ask my wife, after that whole detox, I put up a cabinet, clean the toilets, I washed the car, mop the floor. I got a lot of business done, took care of bills, took care of a lot of loose ends I tied in one day. I love that. Amen. Just giving glory to God and the information that's coming through this church. Amen. Through every individual. Amen.
Thank you for sharing that. Can I make this one little comment real quick? So this will be in the packet about seasonings.
Yes.
But there are 7 herbs that you really want to add to your food.
Come on.
Again, it'll be in packet. So the top one that I always use is ginger.
Yes, Lord.
Ginger, turmeric,
Yes.
anti-inflammatory, antifungal, anti-everything.
Yes.
Garlic.
Yeah.
Garlic is another one. Cilantro. Cilantro. What's that for? Thank you.
I'm good tomorrow.
Basil. Basil is another one. That's 5.
So really no salt.
6 would be rosemary. And 7th one, I can't think of the 7th one right now. Oregano. Yeah, oregano. Thank you. So these are seven fundamental herbs that you want to use for your food, and you can kind of play around with them to get the right taste.
So no salt and stuff like that.
You can use salt. I would use Himalayan pink salt. The Himalayan pink salt would be yeah.
You know, my family, they were salt.
But you know, when you get to a point and your palate begins to shift into something new, then you can kind of disregard the salt and then go back to these 7 basic herbs.
Okay.
And you can play around with them because certain herbs will work for you and they won't work for me. Like I know that I love garlic and ginger, and I can play around with turmeric a little bit, but I really don't, because too much turmeric, it makes me drowsy. It's good for me, but too much of it makes me drowsy. So I'll kind of, hinder away from it, but it's still a good herb. So again, the point that I'm making, some things that may work for you may not work for mine.
Because the reason I said that, because doing the change up, that's fine, but I know how my family season things. So it'd be seasoned to where you might as well go eat something bad. You get what I'm saying? It's the same. The seasoning, yeah. So,
Well, present it to them. Present it to them and see if you can make a shift.
all right.
Yeah, because a lot of it is just about re-educating. Not just educating, because we've all been educated on certain things, but it's re-educating. Trying to get different things, like a renewal, right?
Gotcha.
Trying to get different information in. So re-educate them, present it to them and see. Yeah, make a dish and bring it to them. And so they can experience it. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Apple cider vinegar, yes. Apple cider vinegar is good. It is acidic, but it is good, especially if you get it with the mother in it. So if you go to the store and you buy apple cider vinegar with the mother, you'll see that on the jar. That's really good for you. And it helps with a lot of different anti-inflammatories, antibacterial, antifungal, absolutely. What I have done in the past is take a teaspoon or a tablespoon, if you can handle it, of apple cider vinegar every day in the morning. And that has kind of helped flush my system out, or prep my system for the day. So yeah, apple cider vinegar. With the mother. Nothing like a mother's touch. Yeah. Nothing like his mother's touch.
Are we going to, when we start this, can we post like some recipes? Cause I'm not, help me. I'm not gonna be honest, help us.
If you post a picture and it looks good, tell me how to get it.
Yes. I will definitely do that. Yes, I will definitely do that. Again, there will be some recipes that are that'll be included in the packet, and I'm waiting until next Sunday to kind of unfold all of that because But anyway, it'll be in there.
If possible, let's just whoever knows who cook the flatbread stuff.
My fiance, she
We'll talk about it.
He getting married, huh?
yeah, they already kind of
We are? Okay, we are.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I know you gotta move, but I just wanted to give some encouragement to my brother here. So last year, I think the earlier part of the year, I did attempt a plant-based lifestyle. But the only thing that I did, and it's a trial and error thing, so don't be discouraged if you do, because what the enemy wants you to do, what the enemy wants you to do is, like, if you mess up, he wants you to stop. And you just gotta be like, okay, I messed up. Don't beat yourself up. Just like, okay, well, I'm gonna start again. And this time, I gotta change my mindset. So last year, I was trying to do it without the research and without the knowledge that I'm gaining and have understood. So a big thing I want to call out is, like Josh said, seasonings is like really, really big because a lot of them are packed with a lot of the things that we're used to seasoning, we're used to using, have a ton of sodium, and a lot of other things that are not beneficial. And that's one thing I realized based on research. But yeah, if you mess up or whatever, or just don't let the enemy just stop you. Just like, okay, I gotta get up and I gotta get back in here. I messed up. Lord, I repent. This is whatever you gotta do. It's gotta be that deep. And just keep going. That's it.
Big time. Yeah, big time. Big time. Thank you for that. And prep. Prep.
When you think about, oh my God, I have to fix anything to do, you ready to get home to work, going to the drive-thru will be one right there. So, prep.
Yes, ma'am. So no Taco Bell. That is what your digestive system will feel like. If you do like burritos, it feels like Taco Hell.
Chocolate. That's the real detox.
That is the real They know how to get you. Those nachos don't play around. And you do like burritos, and you feel like stopping at a place after work, even for lunch to get a burrito. I like Chipotle. Chipotle has really good vegan options. Yeah, Chipotle has really good vegan options. You can get the white rice with the burrito. You can get the brown rice, which is better. It also has the cauliflower rice. Yes, cauliflower rice. Yeah. Chipotle. Mm-hmm.
I think because especially when you have a busy schedule during the week and during the day, I think the biggest thing for me personally, because a lot of things close after hours, and someone to eat, gotta eat something. And that's always good to go to stop by the restaurant and eat and yeah.
Too.
So I think like Latrice said, preparation is definitely. I think that's the main thing, if I could say, because if you don't prepare for it, it's kind of hard to follow through correctly without straying off the path. I think the main thing would be preparation.
Preparation, yes. Yes.
We can eat nuts.
Yes. So I'm sure this is out there somewhere. I'm just going to speak from experience.
He started it. I just laughed. I just laughed. He started it. I just
As far as that goes, I'm sure it's out there. I haven't come across it yet. But when the hunger pains come in, I do encourage. This is a Stevenology thing. I encourage snacking, but when you snack, make sure you snack on healthy things like nuts, almonds. Cashew. Yes.
Snack on healthy things. Nuts are healthy, guys. Nuts are healthy. Chestnuts.
Raw. Yeah. So raw almonds. Raw almonds. It's like gluten-free, non-GMO.
Just say no.
Got down.
She said, you watching me has changed, the way she saw things. going through the stages, watching how, even mentally, different things, even my overall energy, in terms of not being so wound up and anxious, a lot of anxiety. I didn't really know about anxiety like that until I noticed that when we start meditating, and we gotta get back to it, and we're entering into a season of meditation here at church. And to enter into meditation, we have to wind all the way completely down. Breathing techniques and different things of that nature. And we had a way of doing it that brought some results and success. But the start of it, I didn't know how much tension and stress and anxiety was picked up and built up until I sought to relax. And my even headaches would go away when I just relaxed, because I'm walking around like, just don't go. But it was a point that was brought out that was powerful, that if you live in your past mentally, if you visit your past, you're always depressed. And if you live in your future, you always have anxiety. You got to own your moment, your now. You got to live in your present. You can only control what's happening. And this is something that was brought out that I can remember this. This is plain as day. How they used to tell us that, I'll give my testimony later. That 19 years old, I was in prison. That's 6 years of life for a crime I didn't commit. And when there was stressful situations, and we used to confront with something, they said, police yourself. So it's like a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what that does is unlock a psychological window that gives you that moment to change your thoughts. And I just start practicing that again, being in the moment, controlling what I can control. And you will find out that a lot of those toxic energies, because you can't fix that in your past, and you surely can't get to your future. The only thing you have is right now, and the quality of life that you have right now is determined on how you think. And how you think is based upon how you eat.
Amen.
That's crazy. And it's not so much demon stuff. It's not so much as the diabolical world. They have their genius on their own. But a lot of stuff, they're laying dormant, and we're our worst enemy. We are our worst enemy. And so, just to share a little bit of what you was talking about, the overall change.
Yeah, I was just telling him, like, especially, I guess psychologically for me with Reggie, I can't say we contribute 100% of it to our diet changing, but I think the majority of it is. But just in terms of him just being more settled with his thoughts, when you live with somebody and you talk all the time, then you kind of know their thought processes and how they process things. So that's probably been one of the greatest benefits besides physical changes to me. It's just seeing him being able to dismiss certain thoughts more easily and carry on, change that and think of positive things in a positive light. Right. Can I just say this so we can move on? I'm going to say this, guys. I think that to answer or address kind of the issues that everybody brought up, the key to it is education.
Yeah.
The key to it is what we're doing right now. We're allowing someone to come in and teach us, and we're receptive of that. So, and I know that everybody's excited, and everybody has questions, and everybody wants to share what they're doing, but if we're not educated, because we're not letting him get his stuff out, then we won't know. So he has a lot of great things that he needs to share with us. So I'm asking you to hold on to your thoughts, and hold on to everything to maybe the end of service and let him get it out, and then we can ask our questions and stuff. Because I do want him to share all that. All right.
So water, and again, making sure that we get the right type of water, and we talk about those and what to look for in the label. The next thing I wanted to mention about water is the time of day that we drink our water. So naturally, we're supposed to get water during different intervals or throughout our day. Again, to reiterate, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing that we should grab is not the coffee, it's It's not the Cocoa Puffs. It's not the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, right? Make sure that we get the water in our systems. So again, recommended 1 to 2 glasses of water starting out the day. And then if you want, as you go throughout the day, if you want to get something that's caffeinated, like a green tea, a matcha green tea, which is delicious, or your coffee, then that's fine. Just keep in mind, when you drink caffeinated beverages, such as coffee, so 1 cup of coffee would equate to you drinking 2 glasses of water, 2 glasses or 2 bottles of water. So you have to back that up. Just keep that in mind. When you get to the point in your day that it's time for lunch, say you lunch at noon, then an hour before you take your lunch, you want to prep your body with drinking water, so you want to make sure that you get a glass of water or 2 before lunch. So don't drink water during lunch, and the reason we don't drink water while we're consuming our food is because that slows down or disrupts the digestive juices, okay? And and then afterwards, after we eat, then we want to wait another hour, and then we drink another glass or 2 of water. Yeah.
You said, wait, how long was the break?
An hour. So an hour before lunch and an hour after lunch. Nothing while we are, eating our lunch. And I'm not, not talking about like snacking or anything, but if we go to a Chipotle or if we go to some other place, yeah. And they may look at you strange, but that's an opportunity to educate them. And so we go on about our way. Yeah, bless them in the Holy Spirit and keep on going. Yeah. And then before we go to bed, we want to make sure that we drink 1 or 2 glasses of water as well, because that will continue to prep our system through the night and also for the next day when we get our next glass or 2 of water. So those last 2 glasses of water at night is just preparation, so your systems can, again, just keep things flowing. We should be like a river, not a dam. We should be a river. So that's what we want to do. Again, all of that is regarding to water. If you have any more questions about that, ask me afterwards, and I'll be more than happy to go over more information as I know. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I want to reiterate what we talked about last week, which was macronutrients. And again, with the macronutrients, we're talking about carbohydrates, we're talking about proteins, and we're also talking about lipids and fats. As a group, our macronutrients, think of these are our energy buddies. So they give us our energy. They give us the energy that we need. In regards to consumption, how the body takes that energy or how it uses that energy, it uses the carbohydrates first. So the carbohydrates are the first thing that goes, okay? And then after the carbohydrates are gone, then the body says, okay, what other sources of energy do I need if needed? Then the body looks at taking away the fats or the lipids, right? Okay? So then if you get to a point where your fats and lipids are gone, then the next thing the body removes or uses would be the proteins. And again, because all 3 of these, the macronutrients, is the energy. This is where we get our energy from. First is the carbohydrates. Body gets the carbohydrates. If needed, goes to the lipids and fats. After the lipids and fats, if needed, goes to the protein. I say all that because it's important as to what type and how much, or the amount of carbohydrates, fats, and lipids, and proteins that we get. So let's talk a little bit about each one of them. Carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are important, again, because these are the first things, or is the first thing that the body looks at for an energy source. And it's so important because it not only helps to maintain energy sources, or our energy source, but it also helps to maintain for nervous system function, right? So making sure that our brain reacts to the rest of our body like it's supposed to, with motor control and things of that nature, being able to react like Bruce Lee, or being able to react like No Bruce Lee. The second thing, Bruce Leroy. There we go. Yeah, he comes out every now and once in a while. Okay. And then we have the carbohydrates not only help with the nervous system function, but they also help with muscle and muscle contraction as well. Again, muscle contraction is important. So for me to be able to get up in and out of my seat accordingly, my muscles have to contract and relax. Okay, so if I live a very sedentary lifestyle, meaning that I sit behind a computer desk, no offense to those individuals who live a sedentary lifestyle, 8 hours a day, I want to make sure that I'm getting good nutrition, and I want to make sure that I'm getting good carbohydrates because they help with that muscle contraction. And again, if I'm living a sedentary lifestyle and I'm not getting the proper nutrition, not getting the right carbohydrates, then it's not going to be fun on my body. So again, carbohydrates is important for muscular contraction, and carbohydrates is also important for nervous system function as well. And again, this is the first source that the body pulls from. Here's something else I want to add with carbohydrates is, and I gave this example last week, because it is a building block, and all of these are building blocks, but if we get too much carbohydrates, our body looks at it and turns it into sugar, right? The illustration that I gave last week is, let's say you're preparing to build a home, and you bring in all this material to build this home. And then the home is built. And then after the home is built, you continue to bring in more material for the home. But the home is already built. So now you just have an excess material. Yeah. And you've used all of your funds on the Lowe's card. All right, so what we want to do is to make sure that we give our bodies the right amount of carbohydrates and let it be that. Don't bring any more building blocks. Don't bring any more building material for the home, because your body has the amount that it needs. It's so accustomed in our Western society that when we go out to things like buffets, because it is a all you can eat, right? And they do make the price reasonable, $10.99, right? El Cheapo. But my God is not El Cheapo, my God is El Shaddai. So $10.99, right? So we have a tendency to want to eat everything in front of us. When we eat, we should not eat to the point of being full. Rather, we should eat to the point of being satisfied.
You ain't never said that. That was an amen. I was just like, that's my I wouldn't interrupt, sorry.
Because see, here's the thing, and I'll move on to the proteins and the fats and lipids. Here's the thing. There is a hormone in your body that is called Greene. Greene is the hormone in your body. It's known as the hunger hormone. Don't ask me how to spell it. It's called Greene. Okay? Google can tell you. So it's called Greene. Greene is known as the hunger hormone. So when you're sitting there around 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. and your stomach starts to growl, that's your Greene kicking in. Your Greene is like, feed me something, feed me. Okay? So when you do respond to your Greene and said, okay, I'm going to give you what you asked for, don't respond to it by giving it Pringles, Lay's potato chips. Not saying anything is wrong with chips, but it's the type of chips that you get, right? If you like chips and going to feed your body chips when that Greene kicks in, that hunger hormone kicks in, then look at getting some chips that are made from quinoa. So you go to Publix, they have a beautiful selection of Late July. The brand is called Late July, and they have a beautiful selection of chips made with quinoa. So I say that because, again, there will be times throughout this process that Greene, your hunger hormone, will start to speak to you, and instead of feeding it quote-unquote junk food, we want to make sure that we give it the right snack food. Almonds, cashews, walnuts, and things of that nature. Okay, things that really give you some substance. All right. So again, that was carbohydrates. If you give your body too much carbohydrates, it's just turning into sugar, and then your body doesn't know what to do with it. All right. Moving on to proteins. And I gave this analogy last week and also did a demonstration. And I really want to hone on that demonstration from last week because this is important. I want to add in a couple more pieces to that. When we think about our protein, the proteins are key because proteins, again, they give us our energy, but one of the main things, or important things, especially during the time that we're going through, is that the proteins help with the formation of antibodies. And the antibodies are the things that your body produces to help fight off disease, okay? Which may come in the form of, it comes in the form of different pathogens, right? So it comes in the form of bacteria. It comes in the form of fungus or a fungus. It comes in the form of viruses, right? Even certain animals can carry some type of bacteria, right? Snakes or reptiles of things of that nature. So making sure that we have the right proteins is important because they help with the formation of antibodies. So let's, if I can get 3 examples or three volunteers, I just want to kind of run through this real quick because, again, I want to make sure that people got this. This is foundational stuff. Three examples, please, of 3 volunteers. All right, thank you, sir. Yeah, you can be my nucleus. Would you like to be my nucleus? All right, she's the center. Thank you, Rick. All right. So you just stand right here. Okay. Beautiful. And then I'm just going to put this plug out there. If I can get 2 more, just to kind of stand over here. 2 more, just to kind of stand over there. 2 more. Awesome.
All right. Ashley.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. All right. So if my 2 sidekicks can come over here. Perfect. We will use you all. And actually, one more. One more. Slim?
All right, Slim.
Slim got to feed Greene.
We have some almonds. Almonds in the back. Thank you, Slim. All right, so the example that we used last week. When we look at a cell, again, everything, when we look at the levels of organization of the body, we go from the cells, okay? From the cells, we go to the, does anybody remember this from last week? Tissues, yeah, to the tissues, right? After the tissues, we go to the organs, right? Like the liver, the kidney, the pancreas. And after that, we go to the system itself, the digestive system, nervous system, and then we come to an organism as a whole. Okay, so at a cellular level, we want to impact this thing or allow this lifestyle, this vegan or fasting lifestyle to really impact at a cellular level. 3 general things that a cell will have. A cell will have its cell membrane or plasma membrane. It will also have its cytoplasm. Okay, this is the stuff that lies between the cell membrane and my nucleus.
Yeah.
God be the glory.
Come on now.
All right.
Yeah. Talk up in here.
Okay. I love that. So my cell membrane is the wall, it's the door, it's the gatekeeper, right? So think of someone trying to attempt to come into the door here. It has to come to the door. You know, if we have the bodyguards or the gatekeeper there, it lets it in, lets it out. Okay? Not talking about flatulence. But anyway. All right. Then we have our cytoplasm, right? And that's everything within the cell, right? And then we have our wonderful nucleus, which is at the center, okay? The nucleus, we have our DNA, okay? So let's say, for example, if we take a pathogen. So let's take the pathogen that is relative, would be a virus, right? So let's take a virus. Curtis, would you like to be my virus for this demonstration? Not overall, just for this demonstration. All right. All right. Let's have you stand right here. Before I do this demonstration, I just want to point out some definitions, right? Because we want to be educated along this process. It's that the definition of a virus is a non-living organism. Let's say that again. A virus, yes sir, is a non-living, non-living organism. It's a non-living organism, which means that it needs a host. It needs a host. Okay. It needs a host. Now here's the thing about what a virus will do. A virus will attempt to attach itself to the cell membrane, to the plasma membrane. All right. Yeah, you're right. I have an enrollment application waiting on you, sir. You just don't know it, man. All right. So the virus will come, right? Come to the cell membrane. Now, if we have strong membranes, let's have you stand strong. He's standing strong. I like that.
I mean, how much stronger you want me to get? I mean, a little bit or something.
All right. So if we have healthy plasma membranes or cell membrane, when my virus attempts to come, right? What will happen? What will happen? Just push them out the way. Not hard.
I ain't gonna do it.
Okay, there we go. Cannot enter. Thou shalt not pass. Right? And that comes from having a strong cell membrane. Okay? Let's say, for example, if our cell membrane is somewhat weakened or is not strong, when the virus comes, again, a virus is a non-living organism that has to attach itself to a host. It will attach itself to him. There we go. That's perfect. It will attach itself to him, right? And because our cell membrane and plasma membrane is not strong, it can't shake it. So try to shake him and you stay attached to him. Right? Kind of move this way. Interlock. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now kind of move around.
We ain't going to no wrong with that.
And you come with him. Good. And then you go with him. Good. All right. Can't shake him. Can't shake him, right? Can't shake him. So already the virus has attached itself to the cell membrane and it cannot shake it. Now let's say, for example, this virus has buddies. And he can't shake them. Can't shake them, right? Can't shake them. So already this virus is attached to this cell, to the cell membrane, and he's gonna slide right on through, right? Now here's the thing. What's inside of here? What's Rick? Rick is our cytoplasm, right?
This ain't no boys in the hood. You don't get shot.
All right. So the virus has made itself inside of the cell now, and it's at the point of us being in the cytoplasm, right? So it's gotten past the cell membrane, and now it's inside in the cell. Okay. Again, when this happens, circling back to proteins, if our bodies, because proteins help with the formation of antibodies, if our bodies have the has strong enough antibodies, it will fight off, once it gets inside the cell, it will fight off. It will fight off the virus.
Yes.
So can I have my antibody? All right. So this is my strong, this is my...
Well, it's not big.
But I'm still a force to be reckoned with.
All right. No, antibody. Come, antibody. Okay, antibody right here. All right, so I got a strong antibody. My antibody knows what to do. So if my antibody sees the virus, it says, this is a piece of cake. Coronavirus? This is a joke, man. Come on. Because you're a good person. You're a good guy.
Oh, I'm good.
You're good, yes.
She really like to get
Yes, you are. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Reggie, come on.
All right. So we got strong antibodies. Our antibodies will just remove him out of the way. Go ahead and remove him back.
Oh, go ahead, girl, you got it.
Gotta call me
There you go, you good job.
Hey, cuz, we got some people over here showing how I'm gonna need some help. Come on through.
Yes. Hold that thought. That was perfect. I don't know if you knew. Just hold that thought. That's awesome because that's going to bring me to my next thing. So thank you for doing that. I got all these enrollment agreements coming up. Awesome. So the antibodies will fight out the virus, right? Okay. Now, say for example, if we did not have a strong antibody, if our body is not able to, if we do not provide our bodies with the right amount of protein or the correct protein, then that virus can slip its way through to the nucleus.
I told you he liked chocolate trees. He liked chocolate trees.
Does everybody follow with that? Yeah, kind of see how this thing flows through all the way to the nucleus? Yeah. Okay. Now, there's something else I want to add to this. Let's have my virus 2 come back here. And I still got virus 1 here. Oh, I know, so he's still stuck. And that is a blessing. That is a blessing because as long as we don't get inside, then we're safe. Can't do any damage. Don't have any. Exactly.
Off the Greene, what is it, the hunger?
The hunger hormone, really.
Yeah, I got 6 scriptures on and a whole sermon out loud.
I love you all. Oh yeah. So here's the thing about antibodies. Antibodies have a very good memory. So whenever there is a pathogen that attacks the antibody, and the antibody is able to fight off that pathogen, the antibody will remember the pathogen the next time if it comes to attack it. So let's say, for example, again, my virus comes in, and here's my antibody. My antibody says, yep, that's exactly what it would say. And then it'll be a no-brainer. It already knows what to do. This is the beauty of how God designed your body. It already knows what to do. It literally already knows what to do. We just got to let it do what it do. Already knows what to do. Okay. All right. So the antibody will fight it off. We'll fight it off again. Antibody will fight it off again. So it goes away. It goes away. It goes away. It goes away. And that memory is stored in there. And it knows what to do every single time a pathogen comes and tries to attack it. It knows what to do. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. The second point that I want to add on to this about proteins before moving into fats and lipids, and which Rick brought up, and my segue into that, is you may have on the news they may have talked about the mortality rate. So there's something called a morbidity rate and a mortality rate. Okay. The morbidity rate is it can be defined two ways. One of the ways that it can be defined as the number of people that it has affected. So the number of people, quote unquote, that the coronavirus has affected, right? So that's the morbidity rate, people who have been affected by it within a population or within a geographic region. Okay, so that's the morbidity rate. That's one definition of the morbidity rate. Another definition of the morbidity rate is the disease state itself. So it could be Alzheimer's. It could also be type 2 diabetes. Again, that's two ways to look at the morbidity rate. All right. So let's take the first rate, and then we also look at the mortality rate. The mortality rate is the number of deaths. So the number of people who have died from coronavirus. Okay. A lot of times, again, if someone is educated, if someone is not educated in the definitions or how the terms are used, or if they are and try to miscorrupt the information, right? They will do that. They will confuse the mortality rate with the morbidity rate. So there are times where media will display the mortality rate, the number of deaths, for being the morbidity rate. Or it could be the vice versa. It could be the morbidity rate that is established for or is shown for the mortality rate. Meaning that if they show a number in New York and they say that, and they use 22,000, they may say 22,000, they may use 22,000 as the mortality rate, which is the number of deaths. But 22,000 may not actually be the mortality rate. 22,000 may be the morbidity rate. Just because I'm infected by something, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. So you cannot use the mortality rate for the morbidity rate for the mortality rate. So when you look at that, if you ever hear it on the news and they talk about morbidity rate and mortality rate, pay close attention to that. Because sometimes they will try to use the number of deaths for the number, or rather they will use the number of people who have been affected, which could be far greater than the number of actual deaths. So just pay attention to that. So people can live in the spirit of fear.
Media. Most effective devil in America.
Yeah.
That's good.
Ooh, that's good. That's real good.
Oh, man,
Okay,
that's
Pop.
good. Oh, yeah. Wow, that is good.
Yeah.
That's my acronym.
Wow. Okay.
Preach, Justin.
So why do I say all of that? Well, I say all of that because usually the individuals who fall into the mortality rate, again, the death rate, usually the individuals who fall into the mortality rate will have a existing mortality, or what it is called a comorbidity. So the comorbidity is just that there's two mortalities. So somebody could have had type 2 diabetes, and then they could have had Alzheimer's, and then they could have high blood pressure, right? So the more mortalities you have, making it a comorbidity, the more chances you are susceptible to fit into that category of the death rate, right? So let's demonstrate that. Can I have one more antibody, please? Yeah. Another girl. Yeah. All right. So now I have my 2 antibodies, right? 2 antibodies. Okay. So yeah, I'll do this. Okay, let's say that my virus number 1, right, got in, or my morbidity number 1, right, got in. Okay, whatever it is, whatever kind of pathogen it is, it got in. Okay, so now what my antibodies must do.
Hey, y'all, got a little bit more work. Send some reinforcements. Let's do it.
All right. So, my first antibody will take care of this pathogen, whatever it is, whether if it's a fungus, whether if it's bacteria, whether if it's a virus, whatever it is. So keep fighting. We're not keep fighting. Yeah. All right. So this is happening, right? This is happening. So let's say this is Alzheimer's. So this is Alzheimer's, right? So he's well, you don't have it, but you know, for this demonstration, right? So we don't, yeah. All right. And then here we go. And then he's back. All right. So he can be high blood pressure, or he can be coronavirus, right? Comes in.
Am I fighting? Do I get to fight it right here?
Comes in, right? So now, what happens is that instead of, let's say, for example, if this antibody right here needs reinforcement, they can call on this antibody. But now there's another pathogen that has come in. The antibodies are separated. So now my defenses are separated, which makes me weaker, which makes the cells weaker. So now I only have to fight off high blood pressure, but I also have to fight off Alzheimer's, or I have to fight off coronavirus. So this is how people go from, when they look at the mortality rate, when people go from, again, that morbidity rate being affected by something versus actually having comorbidities and actually dying, fall into the category of the mortality rate. It's because their body has something that is trying to fight off. And exactly, underlying issues. And so now my defenses are not strong, or they're weakened. They could be stronger if I had 2 antibodies fighting that thing. But now I have 1 antibody fighting this and another antibody fighting that. And if a third thing come in, so thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Let's keep let's keep this. Yeah. All right. So use it for one more thing. So again, tying this all the way back to proteins. It's important that we get the right proteins within our bodies, because again, the proteins are the building blocks. They're the building blocks. They're the building blocks. They help with the formation of antibodies. Things like a virus, which is a non-living organism, attaches cells to the cell membrane. If we can have good building blocks to start off with, good carbohydrates, good proteins, our bodies will fight it off. It's a no-brainer. So then the question becomes, where do we get our proteins from? Because if we're going vegetarian or vegan, right, that means no meat. Vegan means no meat. Well, let me ask you this. Where does all of the meat eaters get their protein from? Vegetables, plants. So we can let's cut out the middleman, the chicken, the lamb, the turkey, the cow. Let's cut out the middleman and go right to the source and get the plant-based protein. And when we cut out the middleman, that means we get more protein for ourselves versus going through the middleman to get the protein. So establishing good proteins and then making sure you get your protein from the right place. Again, going through this vegan fast, obviously meat is something that is going to require to be drawn out of your lifestyle. But you will benefit from it afterwards. You'll benefit from it afterwards. So I know that's a long explanation for proteins, but proteins are so important because they are very foundational making sure we get the right proteins, because again, we want to be able to have not just superficial effects, but we want to have deeper effects where it gets down all the way to our cellular level, and then we make cellular impact. So last but not least, I want to talk about fats and lipids. Again, as a group, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and lipids give us our energy. So they're the energy source. Fats, just like carbohydrates, if we get too much of it, again, our body really doesn't know what to do with it. So it would just deposit it as sugar. In this case, it would be fat, right? Now, having a certain level of fat is important, because one of the functions of fat is to protect our internal organs. So like the liver, the kidney, the pancreas, and things like that, right? But we want to make sure that we don't get too much of the fats and the lipids, okay? Another important function of the fats and the lipids, just lost my train of thought.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I can help you.
Were you gonna talk about getting them from the right source?
Not getting them from the right source. Wow, I just lost my train of thought.
Let's start before you say some of the fats.
All right, let's start back from the beginning. Okay. All right. Sometimes the brain just like, it goes.
We're talking about nutritional fat.
Yeah. So it stores the fat. So one of the functions, all right, so one of the functions of the fat is to help protect the lining, right? So it helps protect things like the liver, the kidney, the pancreas, and things of that nature. Okay, so we need our fats. The second function of the fat, and this is really bothering me. Ah, yes, Rick. I have to look at Rick. I have to look at Rick. I have to look at Rick. Rick, man. That's my man. Rick, thank you. Thank you. He's like, yep. You know what to say. You know what to say. Thank you. All right. So the illustration that Rick gave earlier, where he called in for backup, that is something in the body that's called signaling. It's called signaling. It's a chemical reaction that happens in the body. It's called signaling, right? So the importance of getting or making sure we get the right lipids and fats is so our bodies can actually signal the antibodies. So let's say, for example, again, if something was to get past the cell membrane, right? Got past the cell membrane. Got past the cell membrane. Before the antibodies come in,
We got trouble downtown again. I don't know. Meet me on the spot. As you can see, my antibodies stay ready.
yes, they do. They do. They're supposed to stay ready. Yes, they are supposed to stay ready. Yes, the antibodies are supposed to stay ready, right? Because if something slips through the plasma membrane, and then Rick, right, our cytoplasm within the cell will go through the process of signaling the antibodies. To go to work, and the antibodies will go to work, and they will remove him out of it. So you go ahead and remove him out of it. All right, thank you. So to tie to tie this all back in with lipids and fats, if we do not give our bodies the right lipids and fats, our bodies are not able to go through that chemical reaction of signaling, or it may go through it at a slower process, and then before you know it, well, here comes the pathogen. Oh, I can't signal, and then I'm in the nucleus. Right? Right? So it's important. It's important. It's important. It's important. It's important. And this happens, and this should happen quick. Should happen quick. Should happen quick. Your antibodies should respond quickly. They should stay ready all the time, quickly. But if we don't give it the right fats or lipids, they cannot stay ready. They can't stay ready.
Can I say something? Okay, I want to.
The reason why I'm like this is because my body got attacked like that. I had to have emergency surgery. So that's the reason why it's like now I'm very in tune with what you're saying, because I know how your body can like literally, it can be sending you signals, but you're distracted by other things. You see what I'm saying? So with with certain things now, I feel like I'm like, you're not about to tear this down. Nothing. You see what I'm saying? I've been, when you, I'm gonna have to take these off so I can't see y'all. No, it's cool, they good. But I'm gonna tell you, when you go through certain things to where you get, just getting sick, like certain stuff, it will be able to creep in. But you know what? That's the reason why, like, you have to be ready. Who said that? Just prepare. Now I'm preparing myself for real, because it's like to know that the world would say, well, burgers is so good. And like he said, the media is like completely trying to mess us up. And I almost said something else, but it is. You see what I'm saying? And then like we have to do our own research. You see what I'm saying? Because you will end up having all types of stuff that you didn't even know you had going on by going and seeing Suzanne when you really could be going to see Brenda about your own stuff. You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, be more mindful of how you're getting your information, and do your own personal research as well, because a lot of things that you're saying is confirmation for me to keep on going and doing what I'm doing. And you don't even know, but you're talking about our bodies, I'm talking about my mind and everything else too. You see what I'm saying? Because it's so many different distractions that'll come in and tell you, oh yeah, I want that burger, I want the fries, but you know darn well you need salad. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, and I battle with that on a regular. So yeah, it's, yeah. Here we go.
So thank you, volunteers. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for our volunteers. Absolutely.
If y'all ever need a person to call a hitter, get Rick up.
Yeah, everybody get weak. Just call you Bar Rick.
So does that resonate? Yeah. Again, just kind of getting back to the basics of things, and then looking at just getting the right stuff in your body. And again, in the manual or the booklet next week, I'll have things outlined as to what kind of good fats you would want to get. One of the good fats would be avocado. So avocado is a good fat that you would want to get into your body. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah, and you should be. This is an exciting time. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am.